Hello, testing mic. Just about 5 minutes in, so I'm going to switch my screen over. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Hi, Olive. Been a while. All right, number one. So I've switched my screen over. As you guys can see, there are many pieces sitting on this towel. This is because I went ahead and I washed everything pretty much as soon as I got back from my trip. So for those of you just tuning in, or maybe who didn't know, I recently went on a brief holiday, which is why we were missing a week of streams. I was out of town, and so there was no way to do that. But anyway, I brought this kit with me and was kind of like sanding on it and working on it when I had a spare moment, because it was really busy the whole time during the holiday. But we got pretty far. There's two pieces that I didn't finish sanding, so we're gonna have to do that today. I finished all of these while I was out. So I remember last time we had just kind of finished up the hair, but we had some of these like bigger pieces and some hair sculpting we had to do. So I did all of that, so you guys don't have to watch it, but unfortunately I didn't have time to finish these two. So I got about halfway on this one. There's a big seam line kind of running along the side here, and as you can maybe see, I drilled out some holes as I was noticing them, but there's still stuff like this tab here that needs to be sanded off. There's some roughness kind of in between here, so we got to do all that today. But you might be able to notice there's still like water because I seriously like got back from my trip. I was like, oh crap, I need to wash this kit if I'm gonna like start puttying and doing everything else. So yeah, there's still, I just finished washing them. We're gonna kind of set this stuff to the side and let it dry a little more. But all of these pieces are pretty much ready for putty work and, you know, any extra sanding we need to do. So I'm hoping to get to some of that today, but we'll see. I'm running a little low on fumes because I'm pretty jet lagged, but I did want to make a point of talking to you all today and keeping these streams consistent. So thank you for those of you tuning in. I also have the camera, I just kind of set it up, so I hope that my head doesn't, okay, good. Sometimes when I mess with my camera, it's like not, my head gets visible, so I'm glad that doesn't seem to be the case. I've done this long enough, it seems, that I know the position. Hi Hololai, how are you doing today? We are just kind of putzing around before I start talking about stuff, because my bench, I just threw a bunch of stuff on here and we're gonna keep going with whatever we were doing. So yeah, I will, let's see, probably just push these to the side, leave them there maybe, move these forward. And yeah, I'm gonna double check, you know, make sure these are all clean, do some sanding. But we have kind of a lot to talk about today. So first, as you guys can see in the agenda, I just wanted to do kind of a welcome back. Don't necessarily need to go over all of my holiday. I pretty much went over all of that, you know, just a few minutes ago. But in short, I missed working with Garage Kits and streaming with all of you guys. I have a bunch of stuff on my bench that I was excited to get back to, so I'm glad that we can start to get a schedule together again and get this stuff going. And yeah, I think there's really not too much I want to say. Vacation was fun, or holiday was fun. Just got to spend some time with some friends and family now that COVID is around, but people are, you know, more vaccinated and travel's a little bit safer. So, oh good, glad you're feeling fine. Lazy's good. I want to be lazy right now. But yeah, so traveling was a friend. Cannon, I'm your friend. I would visit you now that it's safer. But yeah, so we just spent basically the whole week, you know, mingling with friends and family who I haven't seen for nearly 2 years. You know, my family lives pretty far away from me now, and so it was really nice being able to see them and know that they were safe and that, you know, travel is a little bit easier now. So that was a big relief. Come when AX is back. Maybe. I've never been to AX. I've been to some of the other big ones, but AX is a whole other beast. That's yeah, that's a maybe. And I'm an experienced con goer, and even that gives me the shivers. Let me see if, I guess I'll just have to push this up. I don't think I can move my camera down anymore. Maybe I'll just move these pieces to the side. Just trying to get this ready again. Been a while, guys. But yeah, so that was really fun. You know, just spent a lot of time with friends. A lot of time with friends, relaxing, enjoying company. Haven't been able to do that for so long, so that was really nice. But the big topic I wanted to discuss today, and I might as well get into it pretty early, that way, you know, a lot of us have time for questions and everything else, is recasts, aka garage kit bootlegs. It's for those of you, you know, watching this, you're probably very familiar with what these are. And let me have a brief moment. I need to actually pull up some notes on my phone. So the reason I'm talking about this for most of today is because last week, thank God I wrote these notes because I'm running on fumes. Last week, when I was, you know, on my holiday and kind of doing stuff, there was kind of a bit of drama circulating the Garage Kit Twitter world. It started out just involving, you know, the usual recast sites, E246, etc. For those of you who don't know, you know what a recast is or the terminology. It's basically an unauthorized bootleg version of a garage kit. And so, hi Zenfire. So, am I saying that right? So when we talk about these kits, at least in the Western world, we usually refer to original figures, aka like the figure that you bought from the artist, whether it was secondhand or at the festival. Yeah, oh this. Yeah, it's gonna be a long one, Hololive. We call those original figures. And so a recast or a bootleg or a pirated version is an unauthorized copy. So what I'm working on here and all I work on anymore ever are original kits. So they come, you know, whether secondhand from stores like Mandarake, at the festival, like that made kit that we purchased, or that I bought and we built on stream, that was purchased directly at the festival. Those we call original kits. And recast kits are not that way. They are, you know, made by factories and in mass quantity and are considered not legitimate. They're considered pirated bootleg versions. And so the reason I give you all of this backstory and everything is because for the past week or so, this topic, recasts and bootlegs, has been circulating in Japan for quite a while now. Artists, you know, just voicing their displeasure with the whole topic, their surprise at the West, you know, being so used to working with these, just all sorts of things. And so why I am talking about this, and why I just want to, you know, give some info to all of you guys is because last week, after most of this drama blew over, it kind of reactivated again because the Japanese YouTuber Tsukima, some of you are probably familiar with Tsukima. He does YouTube videos. He basically does the whole process of building. 1 second, are these tabs or detailing on the skirt? I just cut off a tab, but all of this is just like her skirt. Whatever this is, it's like a cloak that goes with it. So you can see it's kind of angled around here. But there was one tab that was kind of jutting out that I wanted to cut off. But yeah, so Tsukima does YouTube videos of the full process of garage kit building, much of what we do here. So he just does them very sped up and, you know, focuses on the painting and all of that. But a lot of his videos are very popular. He did a marine, you know, Hololive video of a build that was very popular. I think it has over 1 million views now. So he knows his stuff, and he's very educated on the hobby. Thank you, Zenfire. Yeah, and he does. Actually, if you're talking about him, yes, he does. My videos and techniques, not as good as his. But anyway, so he actually somehow found my website and plugged one of the guides that I created. It was the proxying and forwarding guide. So I have a couple of guides on my website, one of which is a proxy and forwarding guide, basically telling anybody new or even people who are experienced in the hobby how to find and purchase original garage kits, whether that's buying from a secondhand store or directly from Yahoo auctions or Pixiv booth, etc. So he posted that, and I was like, oh my gosh, Tsukima found me, one. And then two, it was kind of at a point in the discussion where I figured I should, how should I put this? I guess give my perspective on what the Western garage kit hobby is like, why people buy recasts, etc. So I posted a whole long kind of essay on Twitter. If you guys follow me on Instagram or anything, you probably did not see that because I didn't really post it anywhere else besides Twitter. But it went kind of viral in the Japanese sculpting community. I had absolutely no idea it would reach that many sculptors. I had written that kind of really late at night because I had a feeling that something might happen, that someone might end up referencing me or in some capacity. And so I put it all out, and the next 24 hours was just crazy. There were all sorts of Japanese people reading it and either supporting it or voicing their displeasure about, certain things I had mentioned. Oh, you did? Yeah, see? Thank you for the follow. So yeah, this is why I wanted to talk about this, because I figured some people would probably find me through that. But it was kind of crazy. I did not expect that many people to find me, one, or read it, two, and the variety of responses was really interesting. And so I wanted to dedicate a good portion of today to kind of clearing up any misconceptions that people may have read, just, if not to you guys, just it's kind of out in the wind. I don't know if anybody will ever hear it again or read it, but there was one word in particular that I think was a mistranslation, both in translation software and my interpretation, which made a lot of Japanese people angry. So I did want to take some time to talk about that. In short, the tweet that I wrote was basically talking about the garage kit, Western sphere. I'm just going to kind of give a synopsis. I have this on my phone. So basically, I just said that I wanted to speak out about this topic because I know a lot of people who have been blacklisted in the garage kit hobby because they talk about recasts, aka bootlegs, aka pirated version of the garage kits. And so I felt, as a long-standing member in this hobby, I've been building kits for over 10 years, that I had a right to voice my concerns. So that was the subject of this tweet. And I then went on to just say that I absolutely do not support recasts anymore. So if, I'll get into if you guys support them or not, but I do not condone recasts. I do not purchase them anymore. I haven't purchased them since about 2014, so it's been a long time. Mostly because I was also a moderator at my figure collection, and I learned a lot about the garage kit process and the costs involved and distribution and everything, and I could just no longer condone that aspect of the hobby, recasts. I then went on to say that basically everybody I know, myself included, who is in the Western, sphere of building kits, aka English-speaking garage kit community at least, has dabbled with recasts, whether you purchased them by accident. Hey, thank you, Mr. Freaky. Good seeing you. I was wondering where you were. Thank you so much again. We have an exciting topic, so hopefully, you know, your sub is going to a good purpose. But yeah, so I basically went on and said that pretty much everybody I know, myself included, has purchased a recast, you know, from whether it's from Garage GKM or E246, etc. That's unfortunately just the way that a lot of people find out about the hobby. They're very easy to find because you know, Google garage kit or anything else and it just pops up. So, you know, a lot of times there's just a lack of education and you don't know that it is a fake. Hi Rebel Star, how are you? We got an exciting topic today about fake garage kits while I'm continuing to sand this. Yeah, see, so a lot of people purchase them, whether, you know, they're aware of it or not. And I basically went on to say that back in the 2010s, and even before that, you know, 2000s, it was extremely difficult to find authentic garage kits. Mostly because we did not really have access to the resources that are available today. We did not have, you know, tons of proxies available. Forwarding was not really available. You know, even things like Treasure Festa Online, that only happened in like the past year. So back in the days, like of forum boards and stuff, nobody knew how to find this stuff. You would either buy it from eBay, or maybe you had a friend who, you know, went to Japan and they brought back kits, or maybe you found it secondhand on, you know, a website that sold all sorts of things. I remember my first original kit I actually purchased from, it was secondhand, but it was someone who had gone to Japan and they just didn't really, you know, want the kit anymore. And I was like blown away. I had no idea. You know, that these kits were original and, you know, they come from artists. Yes, Mr. Freakin'. It's a lot easier now, and I'm getting to that. And let's see, most people that start don't know about original. Yes, very much, Sinfire. Yeah, very much. People are just, they're pointed right to that. They're not aware. And so basically, even GKM, that's another recast site, it did not exist when I started building garage kits. The only options we had were Hobby Japan? Let's see, I have to look. I don't remember. Hobby Link something. I even had it. Hobby Fan, that was it. So Hobby Fan, which I think is now legitimate, used to sell kind of really bad recasts back in the day. I had a Nakaruru kit that I purchased for like $30 from them because it was on sale, but it was definitely $30 quality. So I never actually even built it. I just kind of like let it sit and I think I threw it away. But anyway, yeah, GKM didn't exist, and also people would do like private little groups where they'd, you know, recast a kit that they owned, an original kit, and only distribute it among friends, and so that was kind of the sphere of it. However, now it is much easier. Yeah, it's the same in French. Yeah, I guess so. But now it's a lot easier to find these kits. It's a lot easier to buy legitimate. You know, kind of leaning into what you said, Mr. Freaky, I did notice that people are looking to buy legitimate when possible now, which is why I do have guides on my website now, and I fully support buying legitimate. And so I created these resources mostly because I wanted people to know that there are alternatives, you know, to buying, you know, legitimate kits. And it's kind of wild. Like, I'm blown away by how easy it is these days to buy legit. So there's really no excuse to me besides maybe costs. Oh, sorry, my dehumidifier is going on right now. Let me see if I can turn that off because there's not much going on here. Okay. I know in a VOD, it was kind of loud, so I'm just gonna turn it off. Hi, Fries, how are you? I'm just kind of going deep into the history of kits and the tweet that I made out, so I'm just gonna keep talking about it. Yep, talking about Twitter. Yep. So anyway, I went on in my tweet and said that if you are, you know, outside of Japan, and you are interested in kits, so anybody worldwide, you know, basically, whether you're in USA or France or Australia or, you know, anywhere, you may have come across, you know, or are active in a community such as a Facebook group, a subreddit, etc., that does not condone, or that does condone recasts, aka they're okay with recasts, they're lax about it, they, you know, don't really mind you posting or talking about it, and actually actively ban people who are against them. And this is because, and I'm just going to straight up say it, as I did in my tweet, these spaces, a lot of these garage kit spaces, and they, you know, as someone who's been in them for a long time, I can say this, they are run by a very select few group of people. I'm not going to name names, and I would prefer if you guys don't, you know, spread gossip or chat about it in comments, etc. But they are controlled by a select group of people, and they will ostracize or ban people who have different viewpoints, who, you know, don't support recasts, or you know, don't necessarily agree with certain garage kit techniques, etc. So I do not participate in these groups anymore, really. Yes. Yeah. I don't participate in these groups that much anymore. I am still like in one or two of them, but I basically moved on to only posting my social media, you know, my finished stuff on my social media, and my website, just because I don't want to deal with that anymore. So here's where it gets a little bit interesting. In my tweet, I basically said that I understand recasts are a gray area and a difficult topic to discuss. And this word in particular, I'm pretty sure was interpreted incorrectly, both by mistranslation and just the way that I phrased it, I think. Because, let me go down. I have to I have up so many notes. Because and this is all me kind of speculating, I didn't get a full confirmation on this, but a lot of Japanese people were very upset by the word gray that I used. And what I think happened was a language barrier mistranslation, where they were seeing the topic as black means just bad, not acceptable, gray meaning okay, like, you know, it's okay, and white meaning good. And so I had quite a few very angry tweets coming at me saying, why are you calling recasts gray? You know, this is a black topic. They're evil, you know, they're sucking, you know, money from the artist, etc. And that is absolutely not at all what I meant. I had no idea it would be interpreted that way. I fully see recasts as evil. They're definitely not a necessity in this hobby. I absolutely think today, and in this globalization and everything, they are not needed. You know, we have too many options now. But the way I had written gray was like as convoluted, or there are people with many opinions on it. Complex, I guess, would be the word. So yeah, I probably should have just said this is like a complex and difficult topic to talk about, rather than this is a gray and difficult topic to talk about. And so I think, yes, exactly, Zenfire. So Japanese were very seeing this as like bad or good, white or black, and I think the word gray kind of threw people off there. But I had fully interpreted that, and this might have been just me, you know, so I'm sorry to anybody, as me speaking as a representative of the Western world, to get this wrong. But I absolutely do not see them as gray. I see them as fully black, as in like bad. But I use the word gray, you know, to mean complex, or a topic that incites a lot of discussion from people. Yes, it's a very much, no middle ground situation. By saying gray, that was the middle ground, which was never the interpretation that I meant it to have. I very much view these as, I view the Western world views recasts as a complex topic. I view them you know, it's not that complex anymore. They're just evil. And so basically that was the problem that I encountered with this. I think I went on to say because a lot of us come from a background where we bought recasts. No, guy. Because a lot of us come from a background where we purchase recasts, I found it is complicated to talk about in the Western world. It's not something that a lot of us want to acknowledge because we do want to support the sculptor, at least, you know, a lot of us do. But by admitting that you purchased them, you know, it also, at some point, it also makes a lot of people angry. And so I didn't at all intend to make anybody angry. I very much, you know, do not support recasts. That's why I have so many resources on my website. Hey, thank you, T-Rex. You got the good topic today, so won't be this interesting later. But yeah, I'm not here to shame or attack anybody who does purchase these types of figures, but I do not support them, and on these streams I will very actively be anti-recast. It was very interesting seeing a Japanese viewpoint on this, and I think that my eyes have been a little more opened to the reality of the situation over there. There were people that were basically just so angry that, you know, even I would speak out because I had purchased recasts, but in the past, you know, I don't purchase them anymore, but they were upset that I had at some point. And I absolutely think that is just sadly a difference between the Western and Eastern world. Hey, thank you for the follow. I have no idea how to say your name. I'm gonna say Kalene just because the 3 is like leet speak, but please let me know if I'm not talking about it correctly or saying it correctly. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, there were some people that were just so angry at me because I had purchased them in the past, even, you know, many years ago. And unfortunately, I don't know anybody that hasn't purchased one in the past. And I know quite a lot of people and newbies in this hobby, you know, both veterans and newbies. I don't think, you know, if there are people that have purchased recasts, have not purchased recasts, I think they're very few and far between. And so, you know, on the flip side, there were a lot of Japanese people that gave me a lot of support because they understand, you know, the nature of this, and they were happy to see someone speak out against it and to know that there are people who will support them legitimately. So I thought that was all really interesting, though, that all of this side discussion was sparked because of the word gray, which, you know, I had interpreted as complex, but to them it was a black and white situation. And so I did have to kind of clarify in a couple of tweets, and even in Japanese, me struggling to use translation software, that no, this is I view it as a black situation, and that's not what I meant. Like the word that I used is not really what I meant. And so I think after that happened, it was kind of okay, but I did want to clear it up again here, just in case anybody's watching, kind of what I really did mean, because it's very difficult to yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, sorry, Kai. That was my bad then for writing the wrong word. But yeah, it was different. What I had intended came out wrong, and not that it's any defense, but I was writing that at like 1 a.m. So I did not think that it would be like the one word would incite a whole separate discussion. But yeah, so I think that was the big one. Just wanting to make sure that, you know, I assure people that I am on their side, that recasts are not okay. Let's see, another major thing that I did notice that I wanted you guys to know of too, because I learned a lot and I found it was interesting, is that the Japanese know that these companies exist, that recasting bootleg companies like E20, etc. exist, but they will not name drop them, especially not in tweets or casual conversation, because acknowledging them and talking about them and typing the name out for the world to see is basically akin to supporting them or giving them publicity. Yes, Mr. Freaky, yeah, I very much am against them, but I try to, you know, at least I don't know. From all of these tweets, I think that I need to be more active against speaking out against them. You know, I'm not a super confrontational person, and unfortunately a lot of the Western garage kit world is, and so I would rather just avoid it and not talk about it, much how these Japanese artists do. Yeah, so back on that, they do not acknowledge them, then they do not exist, you know. But on the Western side of here, that's not the case, right? You know, we talk about them all the time, mostly because they're an entry point into the hobby. So there are, you know, places that do this to an extent. My figure collection has always kind of maintained that we don't talk about recasts here attitude. You know, don't post links to them, don't name drop them when possible, because doing that gives them business. And so the Japanese see that way as too. And so I think part of my tweet was also controversial because of that. Again, just like a difference in Japanese, you know, morals versus Western morals. And to me, you know, unfortunately, I mean, I get it. I agree with it to an extent. I've done it on my figure collection. I've modded and taken down people's, you know, plugs, C20, etc. But I don't think that just not talking about it, at least in the West, will stop people from buying them, you know, because it is so easy for people to buy them here, and it's the first thing you look up. If you just don't talk about it, people are still going to look and find those resources. So I think it is important, at least in the Western sphere, to tell people what these companies are and what they do. The reality of what they do is they steal artists' work, and they steal the license and reprint it for mass profit, and that is not okay. Let's see, I never purchased a recast because my first garage kit was Western figure. I was knowing about, yes, very much so. Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to education and accessibility, and yeah, a lot of people start out with bootleg kits because they see them and they're excited about them, and you know, it's only like $30 or whatever, you know, and so they don't think about the art that goes into it behind it, the licensing that goes into it behind it, etc. Another topic that came up was just an artist was very angry because he was well aware of the one-day licensing limit, which I think I've mentioned here before, or at least I know about it, and you know, I tell people about it. So these kits that are sold at festivals have a one-day license agreement. So this is why you're able to sell these garage kits of copyrighted characters, whether it's from a game, you know, an anime, etc. Because they are given an exception license to sell it on one day. But after that, they're not able to sell it. And so another like confusion in the tweets was whether or not I knew about that licensing, and I do know about it. I had to clear that up as well. But anyway, that's something different. Let's see, one day. Oh my gosh. Yeah, basically. Yeah, we want to make sure we're legal here. And definitely, I don't think it's bad to talk about it, at least in the West. It might be in Japan, but here I think it's really important. And so, in short, like, you know, basically, I think those were the two main things that incited a lot of discussion, at least about my tweet that went out. You know, the conversation then evolved to like something different, and so I followed a new artist on Twitter. He was actually very helpful, or they, I'm not sure if it's a he or she. They actually translated the tweets for me, my tweets, through translation software, and so I do thank them a lot for, you know, getting that word out there. And I don't know where I was going with that. I think I just wanted to thank them. But yeah, so in short, you know, this was the first time that I had seen this topic talked about both simultaneously on the east and west. A lot of times, you know, we just talk about it here, you know, amongst people who build or, you know, in smaller groups, etc. But I've never seen it involve pretty much a huge portion of the sculptors in Japan. So I thought that was really interesting, for better or worse, you know, what kind of dialogues and discussions were happening. It also makes me wonder how artists feel about the influx of bootlegs on auction sites like Yahoo Auctions, because even I get really like frustrated and upset seeing them when I'm trying to search. So I can't even imagine what it would be like to just casually like go on an auction site and you know, see your bootlegged work. It must be horrible. And let's see. Yeah, no, it wasn't Kiza Cannon, it was another artist, but Kiza was actually very helpful as well. He helped me out a lot, so thank you to him as well for being able to translate and kind of interpret my meaning of things better, because he did clear up that confusion about the gray question. So that, like, alone, thank you so much if you ever watch this stream. That meant a lot to me, because I was like, how do I even begin to type out the nuances of this and what I meant, let alone run it through a machine translator like 3 times. So that was so helpful. Well, let's see, I bought a couple kits from Yahoo Auctions. Yeah, it is difficult. And yeah, Nitro Plus. Yeah, it was Nitro. Yeah, and Keys was awesome too. So thank you to both of those builders. You guys were fantastic, and I really appreciate your help. But yeah, so bootlegs are all over Yahoo Auctions too now, and so I'm just like, well, that's just great. Like, it's a pain in the ass trying to sort those out, and so even, you know, I can't even imagine how Japanese people have to deal with it, seeing that kind of stuff. And it's usually like the GKM workshops, so I'm just like, great, thanks. Anyway, so I am glad that many Japanese sculptors were able to see past my like really horrible language skills and recognize the intent of my posts, because I do think as allies in this hobby on the west side, you know, outside of Japan, we need to recognize this problem and the normalization of recasts in this hobby. It is definitely, you know, a topic that has been around a long time. But, you know, thanks to these enclosed groups, they're just kind of normalized, and it's okay. And so I do think that newbies are better about recognizing this compared to old people like myself. Like you, Zenfire, I think you might be new to the hobby. Fries, I know you're relatively new to the hobby. But, you know, you guys are a little better about recognizing this than veterans like me are. I think that I've wavered about recasts for a long time because for the longest time, they were tools of entry. You know, that's how you found out about it, and they still are. They're still tools of entry. So, yes, old. And did I make any new Japanese friends? Yes, I actually gained a couple of new followers from this. I have talked with a couple of people at this point. You know, they referenced either my tweets or etc. And so now I followed them on Twitter, and it's been very interesting, you know, reading their tweets and their perspectives. So I am absolutely thankful for this experience, regardless of, you know, whether or not it was controversial or not. Well, it was controversial, but I'm thankful for it. And I feel like I really learned a lot, because seeing it, you know, directly from a Japanese perspective in real time kind of opened my eyes to how angry people were. And I understand it now. I understand that it is, you know, I would be furious if my work was stolen, and people were just, you know, buying it and, you know, doing stuff on a recast site. So I think at this point now, because of that, I'm planning to be a better ally and, you know, be better about calling out recasts and trying to educate people. You know, I'm obviously, a lot of people in this hobby know that they work with them, and it will probably be a lot harder to change their mind. So my goal is to, you know, talk to new people in this hobby and continuing people in this hobby and try to get them to understand, you know, what makes a recast bad, and that there are resources available for everyone to buy legitimate. You know, I also think I did see another interesting tweet that said that even the word recast, and this is from someone in Japan, that the word recast is too soft of a word, because it kind of doesn't drive in the fact that these are pirated, bootlegged figures, you know, that they're fakes. And so you could just say, you know, even if you had an original kit and an artist had an original and they made another of that original, that technically is a recast too, but that's a recast of their original and it's another original, you know. But by saying that this is a bootleg or a pirate version, that sounds, you know, a lot worse, right? As it should, you know. And so I think that's another thing, is that I'll basically say recast, but also try to clarify that these are bootlegs, that they're fake copies, and that might have, you know, a better effect. Yeah, exactly. Everyone should just say pirated, but they don't at all. We say recast on the Western sphere, and I'm not sure where that terminology came from. Like, that goes way even beyond me, because when I joined this hobby, it was called recast. So to me, that it's just interesting. I think it's a terminology that we need to adapt and change to. And I do agree with that Japanese person. I think recast is probably too soft of a word. And let's see. The papercraft community is the same. The artist in Korea. Yes, yeah, very much so, Monkey. Yeah, that's very hard to hear, you know, that because people either don't realize it or they purposely buy fakes, that those who want legitimate products can't obtain them anymore. And so that was another reason why I wrote this whole spiel, is because I wanted to assure Japanese artists that there are people who want to buy legitimate. And so, you know, I don't want them to stop selling overseas because they're afraid that everyone over here buys bootleg kits. That's not the case. So yeah, hopefully that got across. I think it helped a little bit. And let's see, I like the initiative of Mask Modeler. Yes, I very much think that Mask Modeler's method could be very effective, depending if you have like a resin printer, etc. So I can't buy his stuff unless I go through a company, but I think opening that licensing up helps a lot through 3D printing. I also, you know, all of this kind of applies to licensed character kits, but a lot of original kits are now a lot easier to access because we have things like Booth, and so that's, you know, thankfully those licenses are a little more open. And let's see, must be company request. Yeah, but basically, I think a lot of it comes back down to advertising, or you know, the companies themselves, the bootleg companies themselves saying recasts because they don't want it to be seen as like a super bad thing, but it is. So yeah, I think that pretty much about covers you know, what I wanted to say. I do not accept recasts for commissions. I do not support recasts whatsoever. I've bought legitimate for many years, so I'm all against them. But I am also 100% willing to have discussions with anybody who does purchase them. I would just, you know, want to keep it professional, you know, because a lot of times people in this hobby already get pretty heated about things. I've had my fair share of arguments with people disagreeing with their stuff or what they think, and so just know that if you ever have any questions here, you are in a safe space with someone who's been in this hobby for a long time, and I'm more than willing to give my opinion on what I think about, you know, pretty much any topic in this hobby. So yeah, I think that that about covers this. Yeah, it was kind of a wild you know, wild 24 hours. I was glued to my phone, as Curry noticed, and as my friends over there noticed, but I felt it was a really important topic because it was something that I am truly passionate about, and one of the very few times that I could get my piece out and have Japanese people hear me. So for better or worse, hopefully, I think it ended up okay. Yeah, I was on my phone the whole time. Let me zoom in a little bit so we can get a better view of this. And what's my next hot take gonna be? I have no idea. Hot take, probably the dishwasher or the dish drying rack that everybody's using now that I do not purchase, but nobody knows what the hell I'm talking about. My hot take is you don't need a dish drying rack to begin this hobby, but it is a handy tool. That's about all I gotta say about it. Are you playing DDR? Yeah, literally, I was sitting on my phone at round one. It's a Japanese arcade, just typing in Japanese and DMing Japanese people. It felt like an international incident, and like I opened a can of worms. It was very interesting, but it was a very valuable experience, and I think I have a better understanding, and I realized that, you know, there are certain words I need to be more careful about, or translations get lost, etc. So as a whole, it was really interesting, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed both the positive and negative discourse. I think it can be hard to do that now because there's a lot of pressure to, you know, jump on the bandwagon of something or just dox someone or go after someone. And so I'm thankful that no Japanese went ahead and like doxed me because they were unhappy with what I said, because it is very easy for things to happen and escalate that quickly. That's kind of why I went ahead and tried to resolve this live time at at round one. What about boiling your kit pieces? I do not boil my kit pieces, actually. Is that to bend them, I guess? Because like I don't think people use it to clean it, to boil them, but they do use it to bend them. And I am team blow dryer, so I am not for boiling your kit. I don't really do that. And that's just kind of like a personal thing, but feel free to. Yeah, resin melting point is really high, so you're not gonna like damage your kit if you stick it in boiling water a little bit. And let me see, does it still work for drying dishes after? Yes, it's very handy. This tool I'm talking about is literally a dish drying rack. It's used in apartments and small spaces, so they're sold in Japan a lot. But people in this hobby now use them for drying their pieces. Their resin pieces after they painted them, or just as a safe area so dust can't get in. So yeah, they'll work for dishes. They'll work for anything afterward. Convenient. And let's see. How are I DMing when I'm sitting on my phone? I'm DMing through my phone, my friend. And yes, it was very late in Japan and very early in America and vice versa. There was a lot of international discourse happening at odd hours, and I was basically up for like 18 hours straight trying to reading all the tweets and making sure everything was like okay before it died down for the next 24-hour scandal on Twitter. So the lifetime on Twitter is like 24 hours and then it goes away. So as long as you handle the problem in 24 hours, you're good. Let's see. Don't think sorry. Yes, Zenfire. Yeah, that was another thing I did see on Japan, is that some of the artists there said that this company only steals from Japanese, but it's not true at all. Yeah, at this point, E20 is stealing, files like the Tifa kit. They are stealing just straight up 3D models so they can print them. They're stealing from Chinese artists. They're stealing from European artists. They're stealing from everybody. So it's not only a Japanese only problem at this point, which I think there were tweets in Japan about how, why is this happening to only Japanese? But the answer is it's not. It's happening worldwide at this point because we are globalization. It's, we're a global world now. And so I can talk with you guys real time from across the world. That's how amazing this is now. But it has its drawbacks. There's companies like that will also, steal from people regardless to make a profit. And I don't agree with that either. So I'm really sorry for your friend Zenfire. I think I know exactly what figure or what model you're talking about. And for a while that was like the hot topic and the hot thing that people in these groups were building. And I just could not get behind it at all. It's just so sad to me that, that your friend's work is being stolen and that people are just you know, building it because it's trendy and what's new on E20 just makes me kind of it makes me upset that people are doing that. Yeah. Well, yeah, when you're recasting, what is law even? You just kind of get away with whatever you want. Ridiculous. So yeah, that's just so unfortunate. And this topic is pretty heavy, I know, tonight, especially for coming back in, you know, working on figures after a long vacation, but I figured it was better to talk about it fresh and while I still have my notes on my phone, before I completely forget everything. So yeah, that was pretty much it. If you guys ever, you know, have any questions at all about this hobby or about recasts or, you know, how the copyright and stuff works in Japan through a festival licensing, let me know, because, you know, the big takeaway from all of this that I tried to say a lot was that we just need more education about this topic. You know, we need more groups that are not straight up, you know, pro recast, which there are groups, you know, like that forming now. So I'm thankful for friends of mine who have gone ahead and created Discord groups and are creating other spaces where people who don't support this or have been exiled from the communities can gather, you know. I am pretty recluse. I don't really join many of these groups anymore, but I'm all for groups that support legitimate figures. So, yep. Anyway, let's see. Call for pet. Oh man, yeah. So yeah, it's not even just kits. It's sad to hear that. Yeah, this literally exists in every sphere of like, you inventing something or you creating something. There's always going to be someone out there trying to steal your work or repost it. So, you know, on that note, also kind of unrelated to kits, but if you're posting, you know, figures, or if you have a Twitter account that posts like a robot or something that posts garage kit photos, try to credit the original author, you know, please do. A lot of us are small-time artists, and so if you just take a photo off the internet from someone's page and don't cite them, chances are they're not going to get that support that they deserve. And let's see. Yeah, so I'll cover that in 1 second, Kai. Yes, very much Zenfire. Yeah, we will need to do our best as representatives of the West to also, you know, promote and condone legitimate artwork, you know. That's like, why wouldn't you? There's no excuse anymore. Let's see. I agree, Fries. Yeah, I agree. I was really scared for a while because it was escalating pretty hardcore, and so I felt like it really needed to voice my piece as someone who's been in this hobby for a while, and hopefully, you know, that gave people some more understanding about what does happen over here. And yes, Kai, it does happen over here. Like I said earlier, there are the groups that are mostly dedicated to sharing and posting this kind of work, you know, figure building. They are very pro recast because they're owned by a couple of people, and anybody who angers those people or posts something that they don't like is banned from the community. Completely banned. Just, yeah. They're banned on all Twitter accounts, they're banned on the groups, they're kind of left to face themselves in the dark. And so it's not a small group of people that this has happened to. You know, sadly, you know, being in this hobby this long, a lot of us are just kind of like, well, that's just how these people are, you know, and we have our own smaller groups, the outcasts, so to say, that still build and stuff. But this hobby is so small that if you're banned from those groups, you don't have anywhere to post your stuff, you know, because those are the places where you post them. And so you have to extend your reach into, like, you know, specific subreddits and stuff where, you know, say that I built an Attack on Titan kit, you would have to post it like in the Attack on Titan subreddit, not like a resin related subreddit. So that's kind of, you know, if you are banned, that's what you kind of have to do. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So there are efforts to make new communities. There's one Discord group in particular, which is run by a friend of mine who it seems very positive community. I'm not in it, you know, just because I have enough already, and I probably am not just going to be a part of it. But from what I know, she's doing her very best to make sure that people like that don't get in. and ruin the community. So to that, I'm grateful, that there are groups forming, because for the longest time there just haven't been. Heck, there was even an attempt quite a long time ago to make a new forum board. So a lot of wow, 1 second, there's a lot of holes in this. Okay, I need to do some minor drilling. But yeah, so the way that this hobby went was basically a lot of us started posting in forums, and then it evolved and went on to Facebook groups, which made it a lot harder to, post stuff because everything gets lost in Facebook groups. And now it's kind of evolved into like both subreddits and Discord, etc. As Facebook loses popularity and as people kind of shy away from it. Instagram is like, there's social media, there's stuff like Instagram, TikTok, etc. But those aren't really communities to me. Like, you can't just, ask a question and have people respond, something about kits. You have to like follow someone and then ask them that question. So to me, that's not really the same as like having a garage kit community. I think the natural evolution now is just Discord. And so people are using that, but that again is still more kind of centered on gamers. And so, a lot of us are gamers and it overlaps, but it's also instant messaging, right? And so you may ask a question, but then it gets lost in like the flood of everything else. So there's no community like forums that exists anymore. And for a while there was talk about bringing a forum style community back again, but I just don't think that's going to happen realistically until it's like trendy again. 1 sec, I'm going to get a drink of water. Let's see. I'm a 3D artist that makes 3D prints. Yeah, Zenfire, right? It's hard. It's hard to go legitimate and do things the correct way and not just, say whatever. Here's it. Here's my print. Forget copyright. Yeah, it's far too easy to just ignore that these days, and at the core of it, it doesn't support artists or, the property, etc. So, to some extent, if something's like a fan-made work or, something that you don't intend to get big, like it's kind of the Wild West still with 3D printing, I think. It's more like artists make kind of whatever, but people are also stealing work, and so it's the next big frontier, I think, like, copyright and 3D prints and stuff. But for like this garage kit world, the rules are pretty set in stone at this point. We know which routes and how to get these kits, and so going outside of that is generally very much frowned upon. I think people are more lax about 3D prints, but that might change in the future as things, as websites copyright work, etc. So interesting. Yeah, I don't own a 3D printer, and to be perfectly honest with you guys, I'm not well versed on that topic because I do not 3D print stuff, and so I don't want to give out any false information about what may or may not be legal in terms of like, if you sculpt a character, etc. That is not a topic I'm super familiar about. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Zenfire. Yeah, that's the thing too, is it's almost like these companies just know what, comes out, and then they just rip everything. Ugh, it's just horrible. Yeah. And it's always the same websites too, I just don't understand. If it's like, if I sculpted a work, this is me just ranting, right? So if I sculpted a work and people, are buying it from me, whether or not it was a copyrighted thing, that gets iffy, but generally, like, companies won't go after you if you're like a small-time artist. But it's amazing that even, you sell one thing a couple of times, and then a site that rips your work off will just steal it, and that they're going to sell more because they have more exposure. It's just, the whole core of it is an artist problem, right? This is not exclusive to 3D sculpting or garage kits, etc. There are thousands and thousands of illustrators and painters and everything that have had their work, ripped off and put on t-shirts and stolen and sold as stickers, etc. It's just a problem in general with not wanting to purchase or value art, I think. You know, and not knowing where a piece comes from or, you know, what it looks like, and then you could just buy it for like $2 on AliExpress because you think that photo of Deku is cute or something. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just so easy to pirate, and the education behind it is so lacking in a lot of ways. It's difficult. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. At least people pay for the only. Yeah, Yep, yeah, it's just very much both of those things, you guys. Yeah, they don't value artists. It's just, you know. And again, this is more of a general art topic, but yeah, people don't value art, and they don't see it as a profession, and they don't see it as something that requires a lot of work to get an excellent result on, you know. And sadly, all too common today is just the commodification of work and the constant need to pump it out, so it's not even really seen as art. And I hope that I'm making sense here, but what I mean by this is that, you know, so often on social media now, we just, you know, scroll through our phones, you know, we're going through things, and it's just all pleasing photos, like it's all pleasing pictures, right? But we don't think about that other side, that it took someone so long to do that. And so artists and illustrators are feeling that pressure too, where they have a constant need to put out artwork, you know, to keep it relevant on Twitter, on timelines, etc. And you can't even sit down and value your own pieces at that point. You're just trying to play the algorithm. That's what's difficult too, is it's, you know, the algorithm is also against us and everything is seen as disposable. And so even if you spend all your time on this piece, it's just not going to get seen by people, whether, you know, because it's pirated or it's, you know, pushed away by algorithm, etc. Yeah, very much. Yep, Zenfire. That is good. That your art's good enough for that, but it's not necessarily a positive thing, right? You're like, you can view it that way, but even then, it's like, you know, still at the end of the day, I'd feel pretty bad. So it sucks, and I'm sorry that your work is being stolen. Whoops. Let's see, dropping this head. But yeah, there's an immense amount of pressure on artists to constantly be posting relevant art. When those like themed challenges show up, you know, like draw this Sailor Moon in that one style, or, you know, those bingos that sometimes come up, or like draw 8 of your character in this pose, etc. Artists got to put that out quickly, because again, Twitter lifetime is like 24 hours, not even, you know, sometimes it just blows over. And so illustrating at this point in the game is like really difficult, because not only are you trying to like find and play your audience, but you have to fight the algorithms on multiple websites, which are all, you know, have slightly different algorithms, and then deal with like the aftermath of people stealing your art and stuff too. So, oh my god, getting a headache just thinking about it. But anyway, less about art in general and more about kits. Just try to support legit, you know. I will always try to advocate legit. Every stream on here will be a clear, you know, description of where I purchased the kit, how to purchase the kit, etc. So that's all we can really do as artists and builders, is try to support the original creators. But yeah, back to this, I guess. Let me look at my agenda, because I feel like I've talked about it a lot. Let's see, I make a Nagatoro fan art 3D sculpt. Oh yeah, I haven't watched Nagatoro. She scares me. If I'm gonna be honest here, she's like the scary Lily. Cause she, like, I don't know, there's a certain attitude she has, right? And so I'm more a fan of Takagi-san. She's like, you know, kind, innocent jokes. And Nagatoro will like laugh at you and like push you down a flight of stairs. Not if, I'm sorry if you like her, but that's just how I view her. She has like a very, like, I don't know, dramatic way of making fun of people. She doesn't like, you know, hold their eraser and tell them she loves you. She'll straight up, like, you know, kick you or try to trip you. But she's funny. I really like her faces a lot, so I think she has some really, like, her faces and that art style is really funny and cute. But I tried reading it and it just wasn't for me. But I actually did look at the anime before and it looked really, like, well done. So hopefully that was the case, that it went ahead and it was true to the manga, I would say. Yeah, see, that's why I wasn't gonna say it, but I know there's a very particular group of people that like Nagatoro because of that. Nothing against it. That's why she's popular. Obviously, there's a lot of people who like her because of stuff like that. But I'm more of a fan of Takagi-san, so I actually have a figure or two of her, and they're really cute. But Nagatoro needs some good figures too. I think she has like that Volks kit, which is okay. And there's maybe like a couple other stuff, but I haven't seen too much of her. Not that I'm actively looking. Yeah. If it's more wholesome, that's good. Let's see. Yeah, I feel like the bullying is a lot like more realistic for her. So like if you were okay with that, it'd be fine. But like, yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't like it is because some of that felt a little too familiar. And then she's just like, ha 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 ha. And I was like, okay, I don't know about that. But that was just me personally. And if it's more wholesome, that's good. Yeah, I'm glad that they didn't go full out, you know. I don't watch a lot of anime anymore, so to be honest, like, not really sure what I would be expecting anyway, but that's good. It's very popular right now, so. Speaking of popular anime and manga, I am so excited for the new Chainsaw Man anime. I don't think that will even come out this year probably, because all we got was that promotional video, but oh my goodness, it looked amazing. And I am so excited to see everything animated. In honesty, like I read the whole manga and I was like, yeah, that was pretty good. Like it's pretty shonen. I don't know if I'd read it again, but I think seeing the anime version is gonna be like nuts. It's gonna be way cooler, and so I'm really excited. The concept is like ridiculous, but the execution is so like fantastic. So I'm so excited. Yeah, it looks so good. Power looks so cute. Yeah, Makima looks really scary, as she should. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it's a really great series. Pretty easy to binge read too. Like I read it in a matter of days because it's not a super long shonen. Doesn't it? It has like less than 100 chapters, right? That's pretty crazy for shonen. And it was really, I enjoyed it. I've been seeing like a lot of comparisons and people nervous because of the artist's other manga. What was it? Fire Punch, which I didn't read, but apparently it was off the rails. But if you were hesitant about Chainsaw Man because of that, like don't be. Chainsaw Man's pretty good. So I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm really excited because of that promotional video. I watched it like 6 times already. I was like, oh my god. And the music looks so good. Like a lot of times now I'm more into an anime because of, well, one, obviously the animation, but also the music. And so the composer for this new series also did Devilman Crybaby, I think. He did A Silent Voice. He did Space Dandy. So you know you're gonna get some really, really good music out of this show. And that's kind of what I'm really hype about. And yeah, so back to this after my long-winded whole thing. You know, I'm gonna move on from that topic, but if anybody ever wants to talk about stuff like that, recast, etc., or bootlegs, yeah, just send a message in the chat and I'd be happy to discuss it. I'm gonna move on to start talking about this kit, just because like it's been a while since I discussed her. And let's see, everyone's hyped about the anime. Yeah, I'm afraid of that too, Zenfire. I'm afraid that like a lot of it will just be like new fans and then it gets overhyped, but I think it was really good. Yeah, it had some surprises in it, which I was just like, oh man, I did not expect it. And some plot twists, which were, you know, not out of the blue. Sometimes shonen gets these plot twists that are just like, okay, you know? But it didn't feel like that with Chainsaw Man. The recent anime movie you watched was, let's see, Josky the Tiger and the Fish. I have never heard of that. I am going to actually look at that right now. I know I just said I was moving on for talking about anime, but I am curious about this. Oh, this is brand new. Well, 2020. Rated very highly. Oh, this looks sad. Is this sad canon? Oh, I think I saw a preview for this. No, wait, that was a different one. Oh, this looks really sad, but also very well animated. I will have to see if I can ethically source this. Not that we just talked about pirates. But okay, I guess it actually looks like it's coming to theaters here in July too. So I will keep that on my radar and see if it's showing anytime. Yeah, it looks like it's coming to theaters in July, mid-July. That looks really sweet. Okay, if it's not really sad, then I think I'm fine, because a lot of these anime movies are just like heartbreaking for the whole purpose of being heartbreaking. So I will keep that on my list of things to possibly watch. The animation looks really pretty, and I like the style of the characters, so yeah. Anyway, back to this kit. I was basically kind of just like putzing on this piece, but I think I pretty much got all of the outside sanded. Tears of joy. That's good. I will keep that in mind then. So I got most of this outside sanded. What the main issue I saw with this piece was there was, you know, a seam line running all along the edges here, and there's still a little bit of a gap, or like a seam line that didn't match up when the pieces were cast, but for the most part I think it's okay now. There's some overall textural roughness in between these pieces here, but I don't think that I'm going to be able to sand those out. Well, I can, but I don't want to. I'm lazy. There's a little bit here which I'll get later when we start doing more puttying and stuff. Excuse me. But for the most part, this is kind of smooth and buffed down. So what I went on to do after this piece was work on the head, which was the last piece that I left. Mostly because she has a lot of these hair strands, so you can see there was a pretty bad seam line that ran all along the top of her head, all the way down, and then it also goes behind her ears, so I'm not sure if it's visible on here, but there is right about here, there's a pretty bad seam line, and I think what I'll have to do is fill that in with putty, because I don't want to over sand, and it's not in an area where I can just keep sanding, so that will be puttied. But the rest of this looks pretty decent. I managed to get almost all of the seam line off of the hair, so once we start puttying and doing stuff, I'll be able to smooth that down a little more and figure it out from there. Hey, thank you so much for the follow, Palico. I heard that Kermie, so thanks so much. We are finally back to talking about kits after my long-winded rant about the Western garage kit scene. But yeah, so I think since this one is sanded pretty much, I'm gonna start moving on to some other stuff. Let me get this ear. Just double checking. There's a little bit of a scratch there. I think it's fine. Yeah, there's some minor scratching and stuff, which I'll smooth down a little more once we get deep into putty work. So with that in mind, these pieces were also washed. So normally, you know, I would do all of the sanding first, and then I would say, okay guys, I'm gonna wash the kit. So, you know, see ya. But in this case, I already washed everything. So I went ahead and all of these pieces are now washed. So I've also, during my prep phase, I did a lot of putty or drilling, so there's a lot of holes here. These are pieces I worked on during my holiday, but as you can see, they, you know, there's a lot of spots here we're gonna have to fill in. There's some big line here that, you know, needs to be puttied in. There's also what looks like some extra, you know, residue or shininess. I was wiping this down with lacquer thinner just to, you know, see if it was actually the mold release that I missed or not. but it's not coming off, so I'm not sure if just sanding will get that done with, or if I need to do anything else. Because usually a lot of that shininess is gone once you wash the kit. But I did wash it pretty quickly. A lot of times I let this stuff soak for, you know, overnight. In this case, I only let this kit sit for a couple of hours and then washed it off because, you know, we were gonna talk tonight. So right now I'm just gonna kind of wipe it with the lacquer thinner and see if that removes anything, because lacquer thinner will remove mold release as well, but it doesn't seem to be doing anything. Sorry, it's just kind of shiny. So we're gonna let that sit for now, and if worse comes to worse, I'm just going to like clean it again and it will be fine. Where do I usually get kits from to ensure I get legit things? Good question. Number one way, and places that I usually buy from these days, is Booth. So Pixiv's Booth, well, the website is called Booth, but it's owned by Pixiv, which is an illustration site, you know, for Japanese people to post, but recently they kind of expanded into an indie marketplace, and so a lot of people, garage kits artists, are putting their original works on Booth. So I mostly buy from there. I also buy from secondhand websites such as Mandarake. I do buy from auction, like Yahoo Auctions, but not as much lately, just because it's getting more difficult to search on there, and I also didn't want to spend any money when DHL was the only option to Proxy. So now that EMS is back open, it's a little bit easier to find these stuff. But let me link my guide, the one that Tsukima retweeted, into this chat so you guys get an idea of how to buy legit kits. This is the Proxy forwarding guide, and so all of the websites listed in this will require the use of either a proxy service, which is a company buying an item for you and then shipping it to you, or a forwarder, which is you purchase the item, like the company gives you a Japanese address and you do all the paperwork and figure everything out and have it shipped to that address, and then they will just ship you the kit after that. So forwarding is a relatively newer development in garage kit world, I guess, mostly because a lot of websites didn't used to have that option available, but now they do. So I use both proxy and forwarding, which is why I wrote this guide, because I was like, well, I need a reference for forwarding. But yeah, they're pretty useful. And let's see, one question I see from Palico: do you pin before or after you wash? I tend to pin after I wash, actually. So I do, like, what I do is the first round of sanding, and then I go in and I wash the kit, and the putty work and the pinning happens at the same time. So some people like to do the pinning and puttying and stuff kind of before they wash the kit, and it all just comes down to your preference. But I just, in general, this is how I've always done it. So yeah, nothing wrong with kind of mixing up the order too. The main thing is that I like washing it first, because some of the putty work that I do, if I put it in the simple green or something, I'm always concerned that it'll mess with the putty. Not that that's happened before, but I'm just always nervous about it. So and let's see. Yes, it looks like yeah, Palico answered that question to you, Mr. Frike. Yeah, the mail order guide list that I have on my website is just kind of like a massive catch-all of every artist that offers mail order at some point in time. And so some of them have closed websites, some do not, but it just kind of, you'd have to follow them on Twitter to find out when they offer that. And so if anything, it's a good list of figuring out people who you like and how to find them. I just keep it for reference because more and more artists are adding, original kits and going to Booth and doing their own mail order pretty much every month. And so I've been keeping it up to date for 2 to 3 years now. It's gotten wild. There's almost 200 artists now that offer that stuff compared to like 0 before. So it's great. And let's see, I'm using Zen after reading your site. Yeah, Zen Market is a really great one. I use Zen Market. I use them quite a bit for proxy stuff just because I like their website layout and the way that they you know, let you add money and stuff. But I've also used Neokyo, I think that's the one, for some goods that were not garage kit related, because they allow you to purchase from Mercari. So the big problem I have with Zen Market is that they don't let you purchase from certain websites. So like Mercari, aka like, I don't know, Japanese Craigslist, I guess that would be the way. They don't let you purchase from Mercari, and so I had some like acrylic things that I wanted from Mercari, and Zen Market wouldn't do it, so I moved to Neokyo. And other like small goods websites. So everything that I wanted small goods I couldn't get through Zen Market. And some Yahoo auctions as well, they don't let you. So Neokyo is good for that. And yeah, so other than that, I use Zen Market. They're pretty good. Neokyo is good. I use Black Ship for a forwarder because it's the only one I ever used, and I had heard good things about it. So no problems there. Basically, the forwarder, you just sign up for them for free and they'll give you a Japanese address, and then once you purchase your item and do everything, they'll charge you a bunch of stuff later. But I've only used that one. I think, yeah, I used it for Booth actually. So forwarding is a lot easier through Booth. And let's see, some figurines have single reorder. Do you like? Oh, that's a good, yeah, it's a good point, Zenfire. So you can also, like, heart, there's an option to, like, add a heart onto Booth orders, or onto a Booth listing, and artists will sometimes use that as a guide of whether or not to make more of that figure. So if there's something you really like, make sure you have a Booth account and kind of give that page a heart, otherwise they may not ever re-release that figure. And let's see. There are a few guides on how to buy from Treasure Festival too, but it requires a proxy like 10. So actually, yes, but Treasure Festa, you can actually use a forwarder for Treasure Festa and get through it like a lot quicker. So one of my friends, Toshki, has a guide to how to sign up and purchase using a forwarder for Treasure Festival online. I have not done it personally, but that guide is listed at the very bottom of that URL I linked. So I do have a kind of a small blurb about TFO on there. I haven't ever purchased anything from TFO yet, but that is an option for those of you who are looking to purchase, because they do allow foreign credit card. So you need a Japanese address, but they allow foreign credit card. So a forwarder, that means a forwarder is like the best option there. And no, yeah, HoloLight, I just can't, they don't let me order from Mercari, like absolutely at all. Every single listing that I check just says we can't order from Mercari. I don't know why. I think it was recently they stopped. So oh, you helped Toshki make it. Okay, yeah, that's great then. Yeah, that's what it the meaning was there, so we're good. Yeah, it's easy to get proxy and forwarder mixed up, because I did for the longest time. I had no clue what they meant, but that's good. Yeah, TFO is great. It's just been such a fantastic option for letting people, you know, buy more legit, especially because it is all online now. Okay, what I'm kind of doing, and sorry if I'm off screen, I always kind of hunch over like a gremlin, is I'm just picking up pieces and I'm starting to add clear resin on them to fill in these bubbles that I see. So not to show this tiny booty, but there was a little bubble right, you know, right up there. And so I'm taking some UV clear gel. This is UV clear gel, and I'm just kind of dabbing it and shining a light on it and filling it in. So I think we covered this before in one of my previous guides, or the previous streams. So I'm just going at it. I don't think I'm gonna magnetize today, mostly because we'll probably won't have enough time. Well, we do, but I also have to like go up and get it and stuff. And so this kit has a lot of holes, and so what I really want to do is just try to fill in a lot of these while I notice them. While we talk casually about kits, this stuff lets me zone out so I can focus on answering your questions and stuff. When is the next TFO anyway? I think it's like the one just happened. Is it in July or August? Because I think the new Wonder Festival is in September. The Autumn Wonder Festival. It's finally happening, you guys. Sorry for asking questions. Oh, absolutely not, Mr. Frike. Yeah, best way to learn is also to just ask questions. So I have zero issue reiterating what's in my guides and stuff. I know that my guides are pretty lengthy, and for some people kind of like a turn off because they're too scary or complicated or wordy. So yeah, any questions at all that you guys have, I'm more than happy to answer them. The more info to get legit kits, as we've discussed, the better. So, no problem. What I did note and notice when I was working on this kit and sanding it is that it has quite a few holes, and some of them are not in great spaces. So, you know, at this point, I'm kind of doing some minor resculpting, kind of along this. Let's see. Along the top here, there's a hole. Oh, actually, I think it's visible. Yeah, you can see it right here. It's a clear hole now because the resin filled it in. But there's going to be a lot of spots like that. August. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's sooner than I thought. Makes sense, though, because, yeah, I know that Wonder Festival was after that. So that'll be a good chance to stock up before Wonder Festival rolls in. I don't know how they're going to do it this year. It is, from what I know, it's happening. But since Japan is still restricting travel and everything, I just can't help but wonder how bad the scalping situation is going to be. Probably not. Probably pretty brutal this year. Been over your 3 weeks since your seal model order. Time to message them. It's that limit. Yep. Gotta keep track of it. That's about when I emailed them too. Either like a month, 3 weeks to a month. And then if they ignore that, I just kept bothering them. It's good everything's starting to ship out though, now that, you know, the world is slowly returning to normal. Learning more about gunpla too. That's good. Yep. These hobbies do overlap quite a bit, gunpla and you know, garage kits. So it's always, I'm always interested to hear from the gunpla people too and how they do stuff. Plus a lot of the tools are like really nice that you can adapt and use with either hobby. So okay. This one only had one hole, but I can see a bunch of tiny holes. So what I think I'm gonna do is just focus on filling in the big holes today, and then next stream we'll go in with the Bondo and the rest of the junk and get all of that figured out. So let's see. So I'm gonna make a gross pile here of stuff that needs some filling in and stuff that's done. So the nice pieces will go here. And you can see my lovely dish towel. That's the topic today is avocados and onions. Let's see. TFO is technically on Friday evening. Oh yeah. Canon, yeah, Delta variant. Oh god. I mean, what more can we do at this point, honestly? Like, nowhere in the US is gonna ever shut down again. People I know are still wearing masks, you know, pretty much everyone I know is vaccinated, so you just gotta be careful, yeah, and be aware, you know, and try to protect others as best you can. That's all. Yeah, at this point I think people are just so resigned to the situation or apathetic about it that doing that is probably the best that's going to happen over here. And yeah, I need to figure out how to sign up for TFO. Mostly because I think this coming TFO there might be 1 or 2 things I want, so I don't have an account or anything on there yet. So I need to follow the advice of my friend and make one. And use the own guide I linked to figure out what to do there. But with the forwarder address I have, it should be pretty straightforward, I would think. Again, it's just so crazy that we're able to like do that now, because even like a couple years ago, it would have been unheard of to use a forwarder and get these authentic things directly. And it seems like, at least from the loots you guys are posting, that a lot of the kinks have been worked out and that it's pretty easy to get the kit that you want. So that's pretty promising. Other than what few lottery ones are available. If any, you know. Okay, this piece is a little bit annoying. There were a lot of little tiny bubbles on what I guess would be, I don't know if these are hair ties or part of her hair. I'm intending to paint them like they're hair ties, so in any case, they are these tiny little diamond shaped scrunchy hairband things, and there's like 4 or 5 holes that I had to drill out just because they came that way. I'm gonna fill in a little more. The only thing I don't like about this UV gel is if you apply it too quickly sometimes, or if you touch it a lot, it'll form tiny bubbles, and so then you have to go in and do it again. Let's see, in the US, how much do you get hit by your shipping? Oh yeah, interesting topic actually. So the US, the limit is pretty high, and so what I used to know, it was about 2,000 US dollars, but I have known people that have gotten hit by customs at around 1,000 US dollars. So, you know, these days with figure collecting and stuff, it's not that hard to hit that limit. You know, garage kits can be anywhere between, you know, 100 to 300, and a lot of PVC figures these days are like anywhere, you know, 15,000 yen plus. Most of them are in the realm of like over 200, so you get like 5 of those in an order and you've already spent $1,000, and then you get hit by US customs. It used to be kind of an impossibility. Like, we were like, oh, US, no, you buy from there, you basically won't get hit by customs. But you know, now for big orders, it's happening. But I know in other countries it's pretty brutal. Yeah, it's pretty darn brutal. I've had you know, garage kits that I've sent out that have been captured, you know, because of certain values and stuff, or we try to avoid that kind of situation, or mark things, you know, certain ways. But yeah, fees in other countries are pretty crazy. This hobby is not cheap. Like, figure collecting and art, this art hobby is not cheap. So, you know, that's another thing that turns people off, is it's just so expensive. Figure collecting in general is pretty expensive, but you pay for art, you know. What is the rate in the US? Do you mean compared to yen? I'm a little confused. I think right now the US dollar is pretty equivalent to the Japanese yen. So last I had seen, it was around 100 yen to $1, but I haven't been checking. It may have completely changed. For the longest time it was a really good rate, and then the yen has been steadily gaining. So we might have a pretty bad rate now, actually. Okay, I think there's a tiny bubble there, but I will probably Bondo this later. So. Oh yeah. This is the type of kit where you like sand, you fill in a bubble and then you sand it and more of them pop up. So that is just super annoying. There's a lot of really tiny bubbles hidden just under the surface, and so the more you sand, the more you're going to bring up those bubbles. Holding up your piece to the light is a really easy way to see them, so you can sometimes just kind of know they're there. But yeah. No, we don't really have any of those types of taxes then. Yeah. Not that I'm aware of. And I don't buy huge bulk orders of things, but I do have orders that come in that are, you know, 200, 300 US dollars now and then. We don't generally get taxed VAT on those. Yeah, HoloLens, I wouldn't really be too concerned. You know, if you're making huge orders, then perhaps, but US rates and stuff are pretty lax here, if I'm being honest, compared to every other country. You know, a lot of European countries are, you know, they worry about it and they guarantee they're going to get hit by customs pretty much. But over here, it's not even really something we think about. I think Canada has pretty high fees now too, right? I don't know. I have heard that they get hit by fees quite a bit these days. Okay, I realize you guys probably can't see at all what I'm sanding just because this piece is so small, but it will go into her hair, so I'm gonna try to show it off. So I'm working on these. She's got these little hair pieces, which they're painted black, but but to make it, and it looks like the same hair color. I don't think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna paint these white, but we'll have to see. So yeah, I am definitely gonna change the color scheme of this. She does have these pumpkin shorts. I'm not super familiar with this character, so she is a monk from a video game, Etrian Odyssey 3, but I had an idea, so I had an inspiration, and whenever I get an inspiration, that's when I choose the kit I'm gonna work with. And so I had an inspiration for this kit and a color scheme, and I'm pretty much locked to it for now. So the more I talk, the more I might reveal about it. But for now, it's a secret. When we get to painting, I'll tell you guys my plans. Oh, okay. I really gotta look at this and turn it around from all angles. There we go. So many little tiny bubble. Okay, in country, start July. Oh my god. That is terrible fees and fire. Oh my god, how that's like basically just stop collecting because that type of fee is insane. Oh man. Yeah, I'm sorry you have to deal with that. Australia, I think they've done kind of the same thing. They've started really locking down on fees of stuff. And it's a lot more expensive. They have all sorts of like import taxes and things now. And just come on. Let us order our anime figures in peace. I don't want to have to pay double the price for a figure, you know. This hobby's already as expensive as is. Okay. I think this was the last hole, or yeah, last putty area on this piece. And this is one of the smallest ones, so. We do have one other hairband here, which now that I look at it, has quite a bit of holes too, but I'm just gonna pick that up kind of whenever. Yeah, that's so unfortunate. You'd think that countries would be more acceptable to imports, but I am not well versed on global economics, so I cannot also offer a fully formed opinion on that. Very interesting topic though, because that's not the first time that I've heard now that that another country is, you know, adding and creating these stricter import fees. Very interesting. Okay. I think this piece is pretty much good. Again, we will have to do some general putty filling on all of these. And once we prime, I'm probably going to find out that I need to, you know, sand a little more or fill in a little more, but we're just kind of going to move on. So I will throw this. I don't feel like working on this piece. Let's see. Let's do this hair. Yep, let's work on this hair piece now. Just filling in holes. Some of these were holes that were formed, you know, during the casting, so they just left bubbles. And other ones I've noticed, particularly on the legs, are dents, so little, you know, indents of what looks like a bubble that popped and then got filled in sometime during casting. So it's not a bubble itself, but there was an indent that looked like there was once a bubble that popped. I don't think that makes sense, but we'll just leave that going. It's very warm up here tonight. It's been a very warm day all day, and humid too, so that's kind of unfortunate. I do like this part of the process though, just the filling in part, because you get a lot of progress done in a very little amount of time filling in these bubbles. Before we had limits like 20 to 100 euros of goods free to taxes, but the government wants some. Yeah, interesting. That is interesting. Yeah, because that sounds, you know, similar to stuff that I've heard around the world, is that there was a small limit where you'd be able to, but then what's stopping people from ordering from these mega monopolies, you know, like Amazon? And Amazon is trying to stick their greedy hands into every single market available. So that would make sense that companies would need, or governments would need to set limits on that stuff to try to prevent companies like Amazon from, you know, basically killing local business overseas too, you know, mom and pops and stuff. But, you know, then everybody suffers. It's really like kind of a lose-lose, because then people have gotten used to ordering from these sites and it's convenient and you can get stuff that you wouldn't normally get, you know, for cheaper or more accessible, etc. Yeah, they can't, yeah, basically. It's kind of a lottery, right? Whether you get picked or not and get your fees added on. Yeah. That's tough. That's just a whole system-wide problem that needs to change. Okay, that's pretty filled hole already. There's a scratch kind of along here on the hair, which I am not really gonna fill in with this putty. I'm gonna try to use the Bondo and see how it goes. You may have also, I don't know if I pointed it out before or on a previous stream, probably not. When we were working on the hair, there was like a bunch of stuff that I needed to sand down and smooth out, and so I think this is the shape that I'm pretty much gonna go with. A lot of these curlies have been, you know, refined to a point where I'm happy with them, but they do fit in with certain pieces. So when we get to the magnety stage of things, I'm gonna have to figure out how I want it pinned or magnetized, and then probably we'll have to end up gluing them. Yeah, I think this was the piece that goes with this, but it's a little bit too, like, the fit is weird on some of these. Like, this is the fit here. And then I'll have to glue, actually, yeah, I don't know if I want to pin or magnet this yet, but it's gonna have to be glued and puttied over. So we've got some interesting work ahead of us here. We're not just doing some filling in. We'll have to do some actual repairs for puttying lines and such, which we did not do with the maid, so that will be a new topic to talk about here. Okay. Oh, like a random hair here. And definitely a bunch of stuff that Bondo is gonna fill in. Got the same issue as that maid kit had, where I sanded down all the seam lines, but it left kind of residual bubbles and stuff, so that will be fun, smearing the putty and seeing what sticks. This kit's so yellow anyway that we pretty much, we're gonna be guaranteed to needing to use white or gray primer anyway, so I'm not too worried about using that red stuff all over again. Oh, let's see, big companies like Amazon and AliExpress already have warehouses inside of the EU. That changes almost nothing. At the end it will hit. Yeah. So yeah, that's, isn't that always the way, right? It's not the corporations that get hit, it's the people. Yep. Well, I hope that it all works out for you, or that alternative methods pop up, because it's just, dealing with the global economy like that and not being able to get your stuff is so rough. It just kills the hobby, you know. There's people I know who have that ordered tons of stuff in the past, and the fees are just too high now. They just simply cannot afford it, and so they basically get outsourced, you know, priced out of the hobby. So stupid. Over here, I mean, anybody who knows how to like buy Japanese imports pretty much does it online. We do have, you know, stores that sell these types of things, but the US is so wide and big that unless you're in like a big city, for a very urban area, you probably don't have access to, you know, your local anime store. Most people get their stuff online. Even I, you know, and then the selection may not be really great, because again, this is a hobby that is pretty niche and specific. And I'm not talking about garage kits, I'm talking about like anime collecting, you know, figures and stuff. But even then, it's like, it's really difficult to find a store that is dedicated to selling that type of stuff. And usually you're paying a markup anyway, because they have to pay all the fees to get the box shipped to them, and price it for local market, etc. So it's just cheaper to buy directly from Japan, at least over here in the US. Okay, got some more bubble in here and other small dents. Why 3D printing will be good. Yes, very much. Yeah, that doing 3D printing and, you know, being able to produce on your own really removes the whole middleman there. And so, yeah, the only fees come from the cost of materials and then the time involved, which most of the time you're just, you know, letting it sit idle and print. So that's a very, very good thing. I think in the future I'd like to invest in a 3D printer. It's not something that's like immediate on my mind because there are other hobby items that I would rather purchase, mostly photography related at the time. And I have so many figures that even if I purchased a 3D printer, it would just be disastrous because I would be printing more than I could possibly paint. So maybe in the future, maybe once I graduate from school, I'll give myself a big present and buy myself a 3D printer. But until then, I will have to either rely on other people or just try to save the models or avoid it entirely. I am amazed at how easy, I mean, quote unquote easy, but accessible, I guess is the word, accessible it is to learn how to 3D sculpt these days, because there are a fair number of people that I have built kits with or alongside for a very long time, and they're just now dabbing into 3D printing and sculpting their own stuff, and they are making fantastic progress for how short of a time they've been doing it. It just seems like, man, I don't know, is it really that easy to just get into it and start sculpting? I mean, some of these people are making full scale like dioramas and stuff, and it's amazing. I'm very happy for them, and I'm very proud, you know, that they're in this hobby and that they're able to do this and kind of shift their focus into the sculpting aspect. Because that's kind of the dream, right? You know, you build and paint, and then eventually you produce your own stuff, and it's super cool. Very much kudos to anybody who gets into sculpting and 3D printing their own stuff. I'm not sure what you mean, Zenfire, but I am always Shane. Yeah, that's true. Very true. Oh, you bought a 3D printer last week. Oh man, that's awesome. Did you get, is it a resin printer or is it like one of those harder plastic printers? Because that seems to be the big difference too between the two, as well as like price wise. The 3D resin printers I've seen, oh man, some of them, they get up there real quick, especially for the nicer stuff. Oh, nice. Oh yeah, it was Prime Day. I completely missed that because I was on holiday, and I remember seeing it, and then I was like, oh yeah, Prime Day. And it just like, that was it. that was the thought. Maybe next year. But I think I've heard of that one. The Elegoo. Elegoo, am I saying it right? I think there was an artist I know that used something similar to that one. And if Zenfire is saying that you have a good one, then that means you chose good for sure, because I'm sure they know their stuff. But yay, that's good. You'll have to tell me what you're printing. I'm very curious. It's always exciting. Okay. I think I'm gonna leave this for now. Basically, I filled in an area here kind of along the side because it looked uneven, and now I'm not even sure what I'm sanding anymore. I wanted it smooth, but there's like a little bit of a ridge here. I'll probably have to putty that with the Bondo, and that will smooth it out. I think I said it before, but there's a lot of random textural things in this kit. Like the hair wasn't super smooth, and there was just some, you know, roughness in between the hair strands and such. And so when you're, you know, building a kit, that's really up to you how intense you want to go with it. Especially these older ones, sometimes you just want to build it and then, you know, be done with it. Newer ones, they're pretty intense these days. They have really nice casts, and you're not spending a lot of time sanding, but in between every single, you know, hair strand and such. At least that's the case for the past couple I've worked on that have been like, 2019, 18 and later. Casting and quality has also improved over the years here in this hobby. What's worth buying on Amazon for this hobby? Good question. What do I buy on Amazon? I don't really purchase that much from Amazon for this hobby, to be honest. I used to buy my enamel thinner through Amazon because they sell the larger jugs, but lately I'm experimenting with another type of thinner, so if that goes well, I will let you guys know, but I don't want to give any false info on here before I've had a chance to experiment. But yeah, generally in the past I bought my enamel thinner through Amazon, mostly because the Gaia Notes brand enamel thinner, you have to buy it pretty early from Seal Model, and then sometimes it's out and it's just kind of annoying. So buy that one. Sometimes I buy random stuff like the Tamiya fine Q-tips or cotton swabs. A lot of times my local hobby store carries these though, so I don't need to go in and buy those online because they do have a slight markup. I don't buy any paints or anything on Amazon. I have once or twice, but it's usually, a very big emergency. Because a lot of times those have a shipping delay and wait time too, so not really worth it when you could buy it from like Volks or through Seal Model or something. And what else? I don't know. If I think of anything else, I'll let you guys know, but generally I just kind of try to keep it local. Or through trusted sites that I know, like Seal Model, Volks. I don't really order from USA Gundam Store anymore. They've gotten pretty slow, and their stock is never there. Let's see. The level of standard garage kits have stepped up. Oh, big time, Zenfire. Yeah, these days, people are using all sorts of crazy tools and different things, and things that they consider a must-have in this hobby, such as dish drying racks, etc. All of that is like good and fun and totally fine, but it's not 100% needed in this hobby. So if you're just starting out, you don't need to buy the whole shebang, the whole dish drying rack, the whole hobby brand alligator clips, the whole, every single thing. I definitely did not start out that way. There are absolutely other accessible ways, but it just depends how much money you want to put into it. You might not necessarily get a better result out of it because the tools don't make the builder, right? It's using those tools and learning how to use them and learning how to do this. That makes you a good builder. Have a good one, Rebel Star. Yeah, this has been a great talk. I'm really happy. I'm going to go just a little bit longer and then we'll probably wrap it up here. Maybe finish, the hair. That would be a good place to stop. So this one and then this piece over here. And yes. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums that up. But yeah, so there's all sorts of stuff. Resin washes, drying racks, sanding mechanisms and tools that people are using these days. And yes, it does make this hobby a little bit easier and faster, but it's not 100% needed. So for those of you guys who are hesitant about getting into this hobby because you do think you need all of those tools, I want to assure you that's not the case. I started out and I was pretty poor at the time, and even then, like, I got people telling me that I need to buy, I need to treat myself better and treat myself to some of these tools because I just do it so old school all the time. I'm like, here's me with my little piece of sandpaper when I could be using these nice Artima 5s and other tools. But that one sold out, by the way, so I have an excuse there. I actually did look it up. I was like, maybe I'll treat myself to an Artima 5, and no, it's sold out. So next time you guys see it up for stock. Yeah, Canon, send me a link if it's available, because I actually did look. I was like, Canon would be proud of me. I searched for it, and nope, it's sold out everywhere. Maybe next time. But I think that would help. I'm not opposed to using it. So at the same time, like, that's fantastic. These resources are available. And I'm definitely, all for using them. But I have a hard time convincing myself to spoil myself on this hobby, you know, because to me it's just like, well, I'm just doing this in my spare time. But it's at a level now where I'm like, well, you know, it might actually help me. So maybe I'll do it. But my reasoning is always like, well, then I could like order a burrito or something, you know? I could order 10 burritos for the price of an already mug 5. Okay, there's a little bubble here, and I was just trying to get it out, but then I ended up scratching it, so sand this down a little more. That's the good thing, is that even if you do a minor surface level scratch, you can generally fill it in pretty quickly, or rub it out with a 400 grit or something like that. Hi Jelly! You're catching me just at the tail end of this. We are working on some filling in bubbles. This kit has quite a few bubbles. Oops, and yes, Canon, send me that link. Do some deep Google search. Yes, very much Zenfire. Yep, exactly. Your first kit will never be like this amazing, incredible piece of artwork. If it is, you might be the next like Van Gogh. So in that case, share away. But for 99% of us, we are not Van Gogh. And even Van Gogh had to practice. So, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, we always start at this time. So I'm not sure what time it would be over there, but we always start around 8 p.m. on my time, which is Eastern Standard Time. So more money for round 1. Yeah, oh my gosh. Round 1. So much fun. So much fun. Played a lot of games. Won a lot of UFO prizes. I won one of those Sunny Angel, like, Cupid babies, and I put it in my detolf. It was pretty funny. One of my best friends, she also got one. And so now we have, like, weird Sunny Angel naked babies. I have no idea if you guys know what that is. Yeah, Jelly, you need to, well, you don't need to, because that just sounds rude. I think that bot or whatever is either delayed or not working, because I noticed that it sometimes just straight up didn't post when I, like, was streaming. And then if it does, it doesn't post, like, right away. Because I did check, and it wasn't there. Okay, I was gonna post these Sunny Angels, but I might even just get flagged by Twitch stream for it. So if you Google Sunny Angel, you will find a very interesting side of the figure fandom. This Sunny Angel type of item has been around for many, many years, although I might be thinking of Cupid babies. Oh wait, yeah, they're different. Sunny Angel versus Cupid. Okay, thank you, antivirus. Oh my god, what's happening? Sorry, I'm looking at Sunny Angels. He was born on 2004, and now there's hundreds of them. But anyway, you can buy these, and they're funny. Well, let's see. Do you know there's 2 round 1s around here? I know of one of them, but I don't know about the second one. Is there one closer? Because I think the one is, well, I don't want to give my location away. I know of one of them, so I'll have to look and see if there's another one in the area. Send a cup first. Uh-oh. Yeah, it looks like you got someone coming for you, Cannon. You better watch out. You got debts to pay, my friend. And that would be great, Jelly. Yeah, I figured it would be, like, dumb to send a message about it, because, I don't know. You guys already took all the time to get the bot set up and everything, but I'm not this song again. So I didn't want to be a pester people, since it technically does work, but yeah, the notifications are definitely delayed. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna cut this out a little bit. But yeah, round 1's fun. For those unfamiliar, it's basically like a Japanese arcade, and so they've got all sorts of, you know, Japanese racing rhythm games. They have all these UFO catchers, which are like you know, UFO catcher is the staple of Japan in all of the Sega arcades and stuff. And so you can win all sorts of prizes, and it's just fun times. So we won a bunch of stuff, and then we left most of it behind. But I did keep that Sunny Angel. Very funny. Okay, I think this piece is pretty much good for now. Whoa, there goes my camera. Have a good one, Zenfire. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. All of you people from Europe, like, I know it's super late over there, so I really do appreciate you checking out my stream. And there are always VODs, so, you know, we'll have a VOD up for a little while, at least of this video, so feel free to check it out anytime, you guys. Okay, so I think what I said before is I'm gonna wrap up with this hair piece. This is the last one that I'm gonna do tonight. Looks like it only has, you know, 1 or 2 bubbles, so not a big deal. Just applying this UV gel. Why this one? I just kind of felt like pulling it out and working with it tonight. The Tamiya light curing putty would also work really well on this one, just because it's also the same yellowy color, but you know, it is what it is. You don't know this person. That's my purse. I don't know you. You got a problem then, Cannon. And that's good. Okay, I'll have to look that up, Monkey, because I'm not sure. I only know one that is an hour. I think that's the north one. I didn't know there was a south one though. So why can't there be one right in the middle? It's just the worst. The place that we, like, the round one that we went to was so close to where, you know, we were, and so we were there pretty much every day. I just wish there was a round one near us. And how often, when do I stream? Well, I stream on Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. EST at twitch.tv/plumworkshop. That's my plug. But in my defense, I will be changing these times in the somewhat near future, within the next 2 months, because all of my graduate classes are on Monday and Wednesday nights. So, like, I planned all this out, and I'm like, I got my schedule down. I got Monday, Wednesdays. No, it's not gonna work here. Like, and my grad classes run pretty late on Monday, Wednesday, so I will have to shift, you know, the time. I'm not sure when, but maybe, you know, if you guys have any preference of when you're free or available, let me know, because I was thinking like Tuesday, Thursday, but I don't think Tuesday will work either, just because Wednesday is my busy day. So, you know, if I have reports I have to write or things, I want to make sure I have enough time to do that. So you missed round one. It's been over a year since you've been to one. Yeah, we hadn't gone to one in like 2 years, yeah, since COVID. And then, you know, now it's everybody free people over here, so we were like, why not? But we're still masked and stuff, and so it's fine. Oh, I'm sorry, Cannon. We gotta find out who Mystery Palico is. Yeah, we did go together. It was so fun. Yeah, I miss it. I miss seeing people, so that was like great. Okay, what am I going to school for? I have been accepted into a Master's of Public Health program, so I will be studying mostly environmental health, so it spans everything from the completely hard, you know, STEM part of it, such as, you know, chemical contaminants, epidemiology, etc., down to the social part of it, so social justice, environmental justice, you know, discussing economic disparities and environmental disparities between minorities, you know, compared to non-minorities. All sorts of things. And so most of the classes I'm taking this year or this semester are like the intro ones, but the program itself is really interesting and very much related to what my actual field of study is. So I'm not, like, I build garage kits, but I am not a trained artist, so I never went to art school. I never, like, the most art background I have is taking art in high school and like the mandatory college class. So I did not graduate with a, you know, master's of or a bachelor of arts or anything like that. I am actually completely STEM focused, so very interesting. And so yeah, my degree is, you know, definitely not related to this, but I'm very excited about beginning this program because I've been wanting to study and do a master's for many years now. And in STEM fields, it's pretty much required to have a master's at this point in order to climb up the ladder. So it was basically just a matter of me hitting a glass ceiling and needing to expand my knowledge on a subject. So this is a new one, a new field. I did not have a bachelor's of public health, but I'm interested in the master's side of it. So very exciting. I start in late August, so I'll try to start coordinating these streams probably around early August and change the time, and then see how that goes. And so yeah, there'll be a little bit of brainstorming and tweeting happening when all of this goes down, because I do still want to make a point of, you know, streaming and talking with all of you guys, but I will also be a full-time student, so it gets harder. In nursing school, we dealt with a little bit. Oh yeah, my bachelor's. Yeah, very much so, Calico. Yeah, and this is a new field for me. So, you know, my background is in soil, actually, and hydrology. So, basically how water moves through soil and through the earth, and including all things relating to groundwater and rain and, you know, watersheds and that sort of thing. All of this is probably jargon, you know, for you guys, so sorry, but you know, I did a lot of soil physics work as well, which is, you know, all sorts of mannerisms of things, whether studying the physical, you know, nature of soils and the particle sizes all the way down to how it interacts with water. And yeah, I love that field. I did a lot of work with that. You know, I had a career in that. I managed a laboratory, but I was slowly becoming more interested in other aspects of it. So I'm interested in expanding my knowledge into more of how different things spread, how contaminants spread through soil, etc. So it's related, but still different. Probably not going to be quite as much focused on the, like, I know it's public health, but the people aspect of it, at least I know it all intertwines, but I'm definitely more interested in like the physics, chemical part of it. So one of the courses I'm taking is related to that as an elective this semester, and I'm pretty excited about that course. Anyway, I'm just doing a little bit of wrap up. Sorry for my brief science rant. I'm sure I will have plenty of that once we start getting later into grad school and stuff. And then I can share all of my knowledge with you guys, whether you want it or not. Looks like I'm pretty much done with all of the big holes on these hair pieces, which is where I was pretty much gonna stop. I might need to wash these again. I'm not really sure what's happening with the shininess here, so I might sand it down or rub them with a little bit of lacquer. I don't think this is a lot of really bad mold release, but it might be. So, but when I sand it, it comes right off. So I will do another thorough look at this probably later and get back to you guys on it. But for now, I think that's pretty much good. So I think that we are going to wrap up. Let me read this brief comment. Oh yeah, super fun sites. That's exactly what I'm pretty much going to be dealing with and studying to some extent, and did study at my previous job. So all sorts of environmental contaminants and things like that, which have not have been addressed for years and years. You know, there's all sorts of things we need to do to be better about caring for our environment and making sure that people are safe. You know, it's just wild. So anyway, so next stream, just to get it out there, next stream will be on Wednesday. Wow, my God, the end of June 30th. So Wednesday, June 30th will be our next stream. I will plan for it at 8 p.m. EST, unless, you know, otherwise communicated, but it should be fine. But it has been really fun talking to you guys all today. A lot of interesting topics, so thank you for riding it out with me. And next time we will be doing more putty work and probably no more sanding. Just a lot of puttying. So hope to see you guys on Wednesday. Stay safe and stay cool, and talk to you later. Bye bye.